guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jalen, and today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. I read 9 books. I hit my Goodreads goal this month. 42 books out of 40. I mean, can we just... To me. Super excited. I know that after this month, it's just going to be like a rapid decline because I did start school last week, start classes, so I'm not gonna have any time to read. I have like 30 minutes to my class. We don't have a lot of time. We're gonna try to hurry this up. Let's get in. All right, the first book that I read this month, I actually don't have the physical copy. I ordered it from the library, and then I really didn't enjoy it that much to buy it for myself, but it was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It follows Chloe Brown, who is a young black woman who was recently diagnosed within the last maybe like 4 or 5 years of when the novel first starts with a chronic illness, and so that was really unique to read from that perspective. I don't think I've ever read a main character who has a chronic illness like that, and just to see how she like managed that and cope with that. And so when we start the book, she has recently moved out of her parents' house because since her diagnosis, she just kind of lost herself. She didn't know how to be herself and how to have friends and how to manage her chronic pain and everything that she was dealing with, people not understanding just like what she was feeling, all types of things. And so when we start, she's like, I'm gonna create a list, as we all do, of 10 things that I want to do so that I can like get a life and get back on track to who I am and what I want to be and have some fun, you know? And so in the midst of that, she meets Redford, who works in the apartment complex that she lives in, and it was just it was a really fun romance. I really liked, one, obviously the representation and the diversity, and 2, I just really enjoyed the journey that we went on with the characters and them finding themselves in each other and realizing that they can't fix each other. They can't like be that other half to make this whole. Like, that's just like not a thing. And so them figuring that out. Although the one thing I didn't like, and the reason why I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, was because I didn't really believe in their relationship. I felt that it was a little bit rushed and it just didn't feel like genuine, you know? And it was a really short book, so it was like maybe 250 pages, maybe 300 max. And so I just didn't feel like there was enough character development for me to like be invested in their relationship. Sorry, that was my dog. So yeah, that was that. I'm really excited about Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is the 2nd book in the series, and it's Chloe Brown's sister. She has like a PhD and she's like a professor. She just sounds like the coolest, like everything that I want to be, just like so awesome and so cool. I'm really excited to read that. And Kat and Noelle both gave Take a Hint, Dani Brown like 5 out of 5 stars. So I think we're going up from here. This was my first romance novel in a really long time, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know, we'll see where that leads me. All right, so the next one that I read this month was, let me get it, The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I freaking loved this book. It's a fantasy novel, obviously, and it's just epic. And oh my god, so much adventure, so exciting. I love the legends and the myths. It's really hard for me to say what this book is about because there are 4 different points of views, and each of the 4 points of views take place on 4 different geographical locations, so that makes it kind of hard, but they all do come together at the end to make like the overarching storyline. But basically it's been 1,000 years after the Dark Ages, and it's when all these dragons and monsters and this thing called the Nameless One came and like wreaked havoc on the earth, and everyone was like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And they ended up like doing something so that I don't want to give too much away, but like they ended up doing something so that they went to sleep. But it's been 1,000 years and they've waken up, and so that's really, really scary. Now they're trying to figure out how to like vanquish these beasts like forever, and it's really exciting. All 4 of the points of views were really interesting. I also really liked the romances in the novel. It wasn't a like the focal point, which I feel like is different from most fantasy novels and just like most fiction in general. I feel like a lot of times romance can kind of take like center stage, and then like everything else, like the action and adventure and like the other things that the story is trying to like get you to, kind of like take a back seat. But like that wasn't the case. Every time we had like any type of like romance, it was always like perfect. It always was a perfect addition to the story. It just added so much to the characters. So we do have like 2 LGBT relationships in the book, which was really cool to see that representation. It felt very adult, very mature, and just like so fun. So freaking fun. Definitely one of my favorite fantasy novels that I've ever read. I think it like takes the top spot from Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So that's saying a lot. It's 800 pages. She was a lot. So that was that one. I give this 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Definitely follow me and Emily on Goodreads so you can see our ratings. So that was that one. Loved it so much. The next one. So the next 5 that we have are the first 3 I have in a video. So definitely I'm going to be linking that in the cards and maybe in the description so that you can watch my 24-hour readathon where I read the first 3 Percy Jackson books. Here they are: Lightning Thief, Sea of Monsters, and this one, Titan's Curse. I really enjoyed them. I actually got these copies from my really good friend Allison. She mailed them to me, so thank you, Allie. Love you so much. You're the best. And I really liked the first 3. They weren't my favorite, especially Sea of Monsters. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Sea of Monsters. I didn't really see how it fit into like the overarching storyline, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't get it, but it's fine. I did feel like we learned a lot about the characters in Sea of Monsters, so that was fun and always like a really good developmental piece. So I really enjoyed them. So that was that. My favorite out of the series was, I can't pick. It's either this one, The Last Olympian, or The Battle of the Labyrinth. I really enjoyed these books. I especially liked how we got so many new characters, and I feel like they really added a lot to the story. And okay, so like, do you guys know what Percy Jackson's about? You should, because they're like middle grade books. Everyone knows what Percy Jackson is. They're coming out with a Disney Plus TV series, I think next year, or maybe, I don't know, sometime, not anytime soon, because they literally just started. But they don't even have a cast yet. Like, it's that early in the development of the series. But basically, Percy Jackson, his dad is the sea. His dad is Poseidon, and yeah, all these like different forces try to like destroy the earth, basically, and he has to like save the day. And Kronos is trying to take power, and that's like kind of where we're leading to in the stories, like from book 1 to book 5 is like Kronos, and like he's the worst, you know what I mean? So that was that. I gave I gave them all different ratings, so definitely go on Goodreads to check that out. But these 2 I gave 5 stars: Battle of the Labyrinth and The Last Olympian. 5 stars, and the rest of them I really enjoyed as well. So if you haven't read the Percy Jackson series, I would highly recommend them. They were really fun, and I gotta put them back in the box so that I can mail them back to Allie. And she's gonna get me the 2nd series, so thank you, Allie. You're the best. The next book that I read, and this is the 2nd to last book, so wow, we really did that, is The Shadows by Alex North. So I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and the thing is, I liked the writing. Alex North is, I really like just like the books that he's created so far. So like, I read The Whisper Man last year, and I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I think about that story like all the time. Like, I remember like, it's right here. Where is it? It's up there. I'm gonna get it because you need to see it. The Whisper Man by Alex North was fantastic. Like, let's just take a second. The Whisper Man. The Whisper Man. I'm gonna reread this because it was that good. It's about this father, he's the main character, and then his son, who recently moved to this small town, and his son's around like 6 or 7 years old, but what they don't know is that the small town that they moved into have actually like had these disappearance of these other young boys around 6 or 7 years old, and they've all been like abducted by this man called like the Whisper Man, and like he whispers to them, and then like they disappear. Terrifying. Oh my god. And so the entire story, you're kind of like on this investigative story trying to figure out what's going on, and you're like, who is the guy that's the Whisper Man? But also you're terrified the entire time that our little boy, who's 6 or 7 years old, is going to get abducted, and like throughout the story you like, he starts hearing these whispers. Ooh, it's so good. And so I was expecting a lot from The Shadows, which was released this year, by Alex North. I was expecting a lot, and I just didn't get it. I really didn't like any of the characters, any of the story, actually. It sounded interesting. So, like, it takes place also in a small town. It's about this this boy who was part of this friend group, who eventually that friend group that he got disconnected from, they end up being involved in like this murder. No, I gotta put Biscuit on the bed. Give me a sec. So they end up getting involved in this murder, and because of that, our main character just has all this trauma and just like knowing the boys that were involved and everyone that was involved. And so he moves away from the town, and it's been maybe like 20, 30 years since he lived there. His mom still resides in the town, but she's in a nursing home. She has dementia, and they call and are like, hey, she's gonna die really soon. You should get down here if you want and like see her or whatever and like spend her last couple days or weeks with her. And so he does, and the moment that he steps into town, he realizes that he's being targeted, and he's uncovering all of this stuff that happened, and the truth, and how there's like now there's copycats that are like copying the murder because they also want to be part of the dream world. It was just this whole thing, and it sounded really, really interesting. It's been upside down this whole time. It sounded really interesting, and then when I was actually reading it, I just felt like the idea wasn't fully fleshed out, and it didn't feel, I don't know, it just didn't feel, it just wasn't interesting, and I wasn't involved or like with the characters. I just really didn't care or invested at all, but I still really like Alex North as an author, so I would definitely be reading anything else that he releases in the future. So that's that. But if you take anything away, The Whisper Man. Get it. It's so good. So good. And the last book that I read, and one of my favorite books that I've read this year, so like so far it's been The Vanishing Half, The Priory of the Orange Tree, and then Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Oh my God. So I read it through Libby, and I listened to the audiobook, which it was narrated by Will Wheaton, and wow, what a man. Like he was, I don't think I've ever listened to an audiobook like this before. Like he just was so invested in the story. Like he sounded so excited while reading that it made me extra excited. Like, the entire story was action-packed. Like from the moment that you start, it was so exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm like raving about it. I just finished it like 2 days ago. I loved it so much. So it follows our main character, Wade. He's like a high school student. I think he's 18, 19 maybe. The book takes place in the future. We just see that in the future it's looking pretty bleak. There's massive unemployment, which, I mean, we're seeing that right now too, but like just like massive unemployment, and just economic turmoil and environmental stuff that's going on, all types of things. And so there's this man called Holloway or Holloway or something like that. I'm sorry, like I'm not very good with names. He developed this, like a whole bunch of different games, but then he developed this thing called the Oasis. And now the Oasis has just become like the world that everyone immerses themselves in. So like you could work in the Oasis. The Oasis money like in the game is worth more than the dollar, and you go to school in the Oasis, and so it's just like changed like the scope and like the shape of the world. It's just like really insane. And so our main character, Wade, when we start the book, Holloway has died 5 years before that. And so when Holloway died, he was like, hey, I'm gonna do this game where if you get these 3 keys and like find out all these clues or whatever, then you can get like my fortune, like whatever I leave, like $280 billion, like just like insane amount of money, and you get the Oasis, right? Like you are the owner of the Oasis. And so that's really big part of it, because now we have all of these different organizations and companies also not even caring about like the fortune and not caring about anything else. They just want control of the Oasis to control like prices and like all types of stuff and just like use it for their own benefit. And so it's been 5 years. No one has any clue where any of the keys are or like anything. And so our main character, Wade, finds the first key, the copper key, and now he is on the list of the contestants, like on the scoreboard, the first person to find one of the keys. And now like the game has officially kind of started. And so he finds himself meeting people virtually through the Oasis, trying to also find the keys, and like that kind of dynamic was really interesting. And then we see him being targeted in the real world by like people wanting to kill him in the real world. It was wild. It was wild. It was so much fun. Definitely one of my favorite sci-fi novels that I've ever read. I don't think I've read anything like it. It was so action-packed and fun, and I loved everything. I loved everything about it. I'm gonna be listening to it again because it was that exciting. Like I was just like staring off into space, just like riveted. Like I was like, oh my God, what is happening? 5 out of 5 stars. That's the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I read 9 books this month. Let me know if you're reading any of the books that I talked about, or if you are gonna read it, or what you're reading right now, what you read in August, what you're gonna read for September. Oh, another thing, Ready Player One is going to be a second book. It was a standalone, but now they created Ready Player 2. It's coming out in November, I'm pretty sure, so that's really exciting. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.